as our room fills up here. Just a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, use the raise your hand function that's under the participants, and we'll get you unmuted and you can ask your question. Not seeing, there we go. We will, whoa. Elton Hayes, CNHI, Elton.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Coach, how are you doing this afternoon?
What's up, brother?
Well, good. Hey, Coach, I'm looking at the first 3 weeks, the first several weeks of the season so far. It seems that offenses might be a little ahead of the curve on defenses. I've noticed a bunch of missed tackles, people, tackling high. Even some defenders seeming to are appearing to overcompensate their number of targeting penalties. Was wondering if you think the, lack of work this spring and summer tends to favor offenses, here in this early part of the season.
Well, it's tough. Just, the lack of tackling right now, not having spring, not having a camp. I mean, there just hasn't been as many opportunities to do it in practice. But believe me, I've seen what you've seen. So we're paying a lot of attention to that right now. And it's showing up in our practice plan every day. But, I don't know what everybody's doing. I know what we're doing. And, we certainly don't want that to be an issue for us in week one.
Adam Rittenberg, ESPN.com.
Hey, Brent, how are you?
Hi, Adam.
So you obviously been in the program for a while. There's kind of an obvious next step, it seems like, for you guys to reach that next level. What areas of the defense in your mind have to take that step for you guys to be in the mix for the playoff this year?
I think each year, you look at your liabilities coming out of the previous fall, and you want to address those. You want to improve in your areas where you felt you had a weakness. And we've done that. We've got a couple of things we weren't good enough. But, in general, I think the explosive pass plays that we gave up last year, hurt us in a couple of different situations, and we've got to remedy that. But I also think just out and out depth, having the ability to absorb injuries and rotate guys, keep guys fresh, and and then just schematically, some areas where we feel like we have to be able to do a little bit more, maybe take a few more chances, and whether it's to minimize points against kind of a high flying offense, or be able to be a little bit more aggressive in some areas where we haven't been in the past.
We will go to John Petishnock, Happy Valley News.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, Brent. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Hey, Shaka made what I think is an incredibly important point on social media a few weeks ago when he said that the rumors about the possibility of the season restarting was destroying the mental health of the players, and destroying is the word that Shaka used. So I just wanted to ask, from a mental health perspective, could you tell that the uncertainty was wearing on the players, and what can you and the support staff do year round to support the players from a mental health perspective?
Shoot, man, it was wearing on everybody. I'd certainly sympathized with his tweet, and it's been a roller coaster, particularly for the players. They're so passionate about the game and the sport they love. And, these guys have grown up with this thing since they were little, and just the not knowing was tough. Your planning, your preparation, what are you working for? And, so as adults, it was challenging. I can't imagine for these guys. And they were getting questions all the time from their buddies, their friends at home, their families. And it was just challenging for everybody. I know when the announcement was made, there was a lot of elation from our group. I mean, just super excited to be able to have a date and work towards something. And so I certainly sympathized with it. It was, for each guy, I think probably handled it a little differently. Just like amongst our staff. But definitely a tough situation for a lot of folks.
Mike Gross, Lancaster Newspapers. Hold on, Mike. Let me get you unmuted.
Okay. Good afternoon, Brent.
What's up, Mike?
How you doing? I know the reality of not having Micah is not a new thing for you, but how have you had to maybe tweak position groups? Maybe some guy you thought of as an inside guy who you had to think of as an outside guy. I mean, I don't know, whatever it is that you've had to sort of rethink things in his absence.
Yeah, I don't know if it was rethink. I mean, he's obviously was an important piece to it, but we've got a lot of flexibility in the room. Got several guys playing multiple positions, and it's almost like if he suffered an injury, and all of a sudden you have a starter that you're not going to have. He's on the IR, but more than anything, it was full steam ahead. I'm excited about the guys in the room. They're super excited. We still have a ton of competition. With Micah's departure, it actually opened up and created a little bit more competition. Just with that spot opening up. And so we got a bunch of hungry guys that, are ready to make people forget number 11, at least somewhat.
Andrew Porterfield, Daily Collegian.
Hey, Brent, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, man.
What have you seen from Jesse Lucetta as this offseason as he grows into your role on the team at the linebacker position?
He's an animal right now, man. He's big, he's strong, he's taking ownership of the defense. He's a guy that's played Will and Mike. He has real command for things. He's kind of reminds me of Kabinda a little bit. He could say the wrong thing and all 11 would do it for him. I mean, he's a take charge guy. And the combination of him and Ellis out there right now, you got two guys that have played the position, a lot of great communication going on. But Jesse's he's a powerful guy. He's got a big demeanor. He runs the show. He's just a real presence out there on the field. And he knows this is his time. I think back to the Maryland game when Micah was tossed for targeting, and the way Jesse stepped up and owned that moment and had a big time game, and a really good performance for our unit. So I couldn't be more excited about Jesse. Excited about his opportunity, about what he brings to our defense. And this guy's going to have a really, really nice season for us.
Bob Flounders, Harrisburg Patriot News.
Hi, Brent. Thanks for your time.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you about another linebacker, a young linebacker. I got on a little bit late. I'm sorry if you already were asked about him. Brandon Smith did some nice things in a reserve role last year for you as a true freshman. I know he's a talented player. He can run, he can hit. What do you see for him in year 2 at Penn State? He didn't really have a spring like everyone else, but what's the next step for Brandon Smith, and how does he kind of fit into your plan at linebacker?
No, he's a big part of the plan right now. There's not a lot of guys walking around at 6'4", 245, 250 and run like he does. He's got tremendous length. He's very physical. As I mentioned, he runs very well. He's raw, but he's eager. He's learning every day. He's become very coachable. And, we're super excited about him. He's a guy that his role is going to obviously increase tenfold. And he's got, the range he has coming off that edge, being an alley guy, that field backer. As much as we bring that guy in that field alley, he's just, they're going to have to worry about number 12, I believe.
Mark Brennan, Fight on State with Lines 247.
All right, thank you for doing this today. I appreciate it.
Yes, Mark.
Hey, another guy, Lance Dixon, played a little bit last year. What kind of strides has he made? I know you didn't have the spring with him, as Bob was mentioning with Brandon, but where have you seen him kind of growing?
He's both those guys are grown into their positions. It's tough when you get minimal snaps. Even in practice, those guys just didn't get the experience. And so just what we've done with all these walkthroughs, you go all the way back to COVID in February and March, we put our whole defense in the spring through Zoom, which was really important for these guys. We could slow it down. They could ask questions. It was a great learning experience for them, and they both embraced it. And then to move into the skill instruction period we have, so many walkthroughs, which is what those guys needed, just to be able to feel like they know their alignment, their assignment, what their job is. And then that way, when the ball turns over, which we've been doing now for 6 or 7 practices, they're in a better place. They're more confident in their knowledge of the defense. They're still, maybe 200 level guys that are working their way to 300, but they're beginning to understand their position much better. And, at some point here, it'll be about mastering their craft and becoming experts at what they do. So they're working very hard. They both have great work ethic. And, Lance is another guy that's got great length. He's the fastest of the group. And, they're both just so anxious and excited for their opportunity. And right now they're embracing it like crazy.
Abby, if you can introduce yourself and your outlet.
Hi, this is Abby Dry from the Center Daily Times, helping out our guys today. How are you, Coach?
Hi, Abby.
How have you seen Lamont Wade grow and mature on and off the field?
Lamont's certainly one of our leaders on defense. The year he had, I think he earned everybody's respect. He's explosive. He's fast. He's a really good blitzer. I was impressed with his man coverage skills from the star position. He's a guy that can do a lot of things for us. He's a great communicator. He works very well with the Mike linebacker and making sure we're all kind of in the right place, doing the right thing on the same page. So he's another guy I'm expecting big things from. He's played a lot of football here. He's kind of an old head on the block. He's very confident, got a lot of passion for the game, whether it's practice or Saturdays. He's amped up, and we're going to get our best from Lamont each outing. So he's grown. He's a leader. Look for a big year from Lamont.
Just a reminder, if you're looking to ask a question, use the raise your hand feature, click on the participants, and then click on the raise hand. We'll go to Ryan Parsons with Onward State.
Hey, Brent. With the possibility of some of your guys missing like multiple games due to the coronavirus protocols, do you have any sort of contingencies in place or like any specific positions where you're excited about the depth you have there?
Again, we try and create depth. That's been kind of my philosophy from the beginning. These guys have to learn 2 positions, and they do it early. Brandon Smith can play Sam and Will. Lance Dixon can play Sam and Will and has taken some snaps at Mike. Jesse can play Will and Mike. Charlie Catcher can play Sam, Mike, or Will. Curtis Jacobs is already learning Sam and Will. And I think it's highlighted, it's magnified this year with COVID. I mean, you don't know what you're going to have rolling into any given week. So we've got to prepare these guys to play multiple spots and be able to, fill in where needed. So I think it's a good question, and I think it'll be relevant as this season unfolds.
Neil Rudell, Altoona Mirror.
Here all along, I was waiting for you to call on me, Chris. Hey, Brent. I'm wondering if when it changed and there was a chance that Parsons could come back and people were talking about that a lot, was that something that you guys didn't think was that strong of a possibility? Had you guys sort of already moved on from that possibility?
Well, I think initially we'd moved on, but once once things changed, the climate changed, we certainly embraced it, and we dove in deep and had several conversations with Micah and his parents, and just weighed the pros and cons, let him know from the beginning we're going to support him either way. And, I think what was challenging, I don't know if Coach mentioned this, but Micah had opted out pretty early and was really knee deep in his training and what he's doing out west. And, there's just still, with some of the uncertainty, I think that was a concern for him and his folks. And it was a very tough decision, I'll say that. Micah was pretty torn, and it drug on for a few days before things were official. So, but there was a lot of conversations, and, obviously, I think you guys know how I feel about Micah and the support, and only wishing him the best. And I'm very thankful for what he did. It was awesome seeing him play in the blue and white and what he did for our defense and for this football team and football community. So I got nothing but love for him. I'm going to be pulling for him, each and every Sunday in the league.
Nate Bauer, Blue White Illustrated.
Hey, Brent. Sacks have been such a big component to what you guys have done defensively over the last handful of years. You lose 3 of the top 5 sack getters that you had last year. Do you feel like you still have that component with the roster that you got?
I'm not afraid to brag on our sacks now, because you could say that over after each season. You know, we're a 40 sack plus team, knock on wood, and we lose good players every year and somehow manage to scrape our way to 40 plus. And, you know, that number's, you know, it's a good number. It doesn't mean a ton. It's, you know, it's about affecting the quarterback. And, you know, we've done some studies. I mean, it's great. We want to pressure the quarterback. We're going to continue to do that. But to answer your question, I think we got a ton of guys that can rush the quarterback, and not just at the D-line position, but at my spot, and, you know, and even a couple in the back end. So we're going to find a way to put pressure. You know, one of the questions you always ask is, can you get there with 4? And, you know, we'll figure that out through the remainder of camp right here. I feel like we'll be able to. You know, that's been something that we've kind of checked that box each year. You know, so hopefully we check that again and feel good about rushing 4. But, you know, we've got some things we've worked through this offseason, some things to these spread teams that I think will help us, where we can grow, not just as coaches, but in our scheme. And so I'm anxious for some of that.
Andrew Porterfield.
Hey, Coach, again. What's it like working with Coach Shaka after his Minnesota offense kind of exposed some holes last year for the defense?
Well, first, after hanging my head every time I walk by him in the hallway for the embarrassment of the butt whooping he put on us, after I got past that, it's been really good. He's a great guy, super ball coach, you know, high football IQ, a lot of fun. I think the kids love him, offense and defense. And he's been a great addition to the staff, and I think he only makes us better. So I'm excited to see what we do.
Mark Brennan.
Brent, you mentioned Curtis Jacobs. Can you talk about just some freshmen in general who you might have to kind of press into action, who are ready to do it? Because obviously when kids come in, you know, some may be ready to compete immediately. Some may take a year or 2.
Yeah, it's just tough right now, Mark, because, you know, these freshmen really, except for the few that showed up at midterm, they haven't had a chance to put the pads on, you know, and even those guys, it was a winter workout. I mean, you know, to see when the bullets really get flying and the pads are popping, you know, I think we'll be able to tell a little bit more about these new guys. But, you know, just from an athletic standpoint and talent standpoint, I mean, there's certainly some guys that jump out. You know, Curtis being one of them, Kazai Izzard. You know, there's just some guys that I think that right now, at least, you know, you'd say, okay, we got to give these guys a shot and see what they can do when the pads go on, because they're checking all the other boxes. So that's a little tough, you know, in another week or 10 days after we've been out there in pads a little bit, I think I could have a better answer for you.
Back to John Tishnock.
Hey, Brent, I'm just curious, did you and the team implement anything new as a response to the pandemic that you found has long-term value and that you'll keep doing even beyond the lifespan of the pandemic?
I tell you, I don't mind doing some Zoom meetings from the house. I don't know if Coach Franklin will go for that, but I'm kind of getting used to it. You know, I think from a recruiting standpoint, yes, there's some things that it forced us to do and look outside the box that will be some mainstays for us. So yeah, there's certainly been some eye openers and some, you know, different ways to do things that we're kind of grabbing hold of and we'll run with. But, you know, I think, as you know, football coaches, I mean, it's just second nature. And I think we like a schedule and we like consistency. And I know Coach does. So I think we'll get back to status quo, you know, once we're able to.
Brett Crossley.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we got you.
Thanks, Coach. You mentioned it there a little bit, but can you talk about specifically with the defense, some of the pros that you can take away from installing an entire defense through Zoom that you might use moving forward? I know you mentioned it a little bit with recruiting, but how would it work specifically with the defense?
Yeah, we've just, to jump on and share a screen, when I could be at home or in a hotel recruiting, whatever the case, and share a screen and share video with my guys from practice or a game or teach tape, that's invaluable. You're able to write over the video, remote. I mean, it's everything. It's almost fully functional like we'd be in our office. So we're in our meeting rooms. But, I think, getting back to the installation through Zoom and then the skill instruction with all the walkthroughs, just, you don't normally have the time to devote to that. And you always want more. You want the walkthroughs, you want the meeting time. And we've had a ton of that. And I feel like, we've done a great job as a staff. Coach had a great plan, and we got the most out of that during this time.
Mike Gross?
Yeah, Brent, this is one I probably should have asked James, but as far as Micah, would he have been allowed? Is it clear that he would have been allowed to come back, that the NCAA had signed off on it?
No guarantee. There's a waiver process. And there's some stipulations that would come along with it. So it wasn't just cut and dry.
Neil Rudell?
When he was, James was talking about Kirk, he mentioned that he's a football guy and he likes guys that really immerse themselves in the game and not necessarily a staff full of guys that want to spend a lot of the day on the golf course. I'm paraphrasing. But, does that mean you don't have a tee time today? And who's the best golfer on the staff?
I've answered this question before. If your head coach golfs, you're going to get to play a lot. If he doesn't, which, trust me, I think coach has played twice. We were out there for a bunch of hours. You know what I'm saying, Nate? It was rough. And I'm not afraid. I'd say that in front of him. But we love to golf. We do it at the retreat. It's just, there's just not a lot of time for it. Some beautiful courses around here. I live right next to one. I've played it once.
Perfect segue into Nate Bauer.
The best golfer. Now, the offensive guys, as you would expect, Neil, they find a way to get out there. And they all brag on their game and they get out there and they all stink from what I understand. But, the story they come back with is completely different. You can tell Shaka said that because he's one of them guys bragging.
Nate Bauer.
Brent, do you know what you want to do at corner opposite Tariq? Has that sorted itself out yet?
We got some good options, man. I love what Joey Porter's doing. There won't be a longer guy in the league that can move like he does. I love Marquise Wilson. You talk about a guy that made a key interception in the Cotton Bowl as a true freshman. And he's done that in this whole session here. He's a ball hawk. And then you've got Keaton Ellis that got a ton of experience last year, good and bad, but growth and development. And he's a mature guy, high football IQ. So we've got great candidates. I feel like right now we've got 4 good corners that we can go win with.
Abby?
Sean Spencer had so much energy. Has that gone down at all with the defense, or is that energy sticking around?
I think that's a lasting influence, what Spence brought. And of course, we miss him. I still talk to him often and message with him and supporting him. But, his energy was infectious. And obviously, that's part of that defensive line group right now. But I will tell you, Deion Barnes, having played for Spence, and Coach Scott, having played for me, these guys are high energy guys, and we won't be lacking in that area. I mean, and I don't know if they'll wear as much gold or have as many tattoos, but they're going to bring the juice.
Mark Brennan?
Kirk, Nate mentioned Tariq. Can you talk about how big this season is for him? It sounded like he was bumped up a little bit last year, but, his last year, obviously some difficult circumstances, but how big is this season for him?
Yeah, I'm so thankful he came back. He's a tremendous young man. I consider him the total package. He wants to improve in the physical piece of his game, which I think he's doing that. And, he's very mindful, very conscientious. He's got a great skill set. He's got length. He can run, student of the game. So I think Tariq is, he's excited about the season he can have, and so are we.
Nate Bauer?
Just one more sticking there in the secondary. Do you know what you want to do for some of your nickel packages? What group you want to take from there?
I can't tell you everything, man.
Come on, help me out.
Well, Lamont Wade's going to play there, and Tariq's going to play there, and Keaton's going to play there. It's an important package for us. I mean, we have a lot of discussions about, because what you battle with is you want your best 11 on the field, but at the same time, you don't want to take somebody out of their best position and put them somewhere where they're not as good. If you do that a couple of spots, then are you really getting your best 11 out there? Is Lamont better at the star position or at safety? Is Tariq better at star or is he better at corner? Is Jesse better as a Mike or as a Will? I mean, so we talk depth chart and position potential all the time. You got to weigh the strengths and the weaknesses and try and minimize what guys don't do well. And that goes a long way by where you put them. And, I think that's part of what the best 11 overall is going to be able to do for you out there. So we've got a couple of different scenarios with that nickel package. And don't be surprised if you don't see more of that 3-down package as well.
Are there any other questions for Coach Pry? Wonderful. Oh, hold on, Neil.
Since it's the last one, I wondered if you'd been catching a glimpse of what Kevin Givens has done so far with the 49ers and your thoughts there, Brent.
Yeah, I sure have. In fact, I talked to Spence after they played the Niners the other night, and Kevin played a bunch of snaps, and Spence was really proud of him, said he played well. I spent some time with Kevin this summer in Altoona and just catching up. I mean, he's really in a good place. I know the front office for the 49ers is excited about him. They think they got a steal in getting him as a free agent. And so, yeah, I'm excited for him. And I think it's just trending upward for Kev right now. And he seems very determined to make this thing work. So Altoona proud right there.
Mark? Oh.
Sorry, it took me a second to unmute there. Another guy that I wanted to ask about was Shaka.
Oh. Sorry, Mark. Ooh.
It's okay. Am I back?
Yep, you're good.
Sorry about
She was
that.
She was muting me earlier, Mark, so don't worry about it.
Well,
But I was saying she just threw the mute on me.
I have a wife and daughter here. They like to mute me all the time, as I'm sure you kind of know. But can you talk a little bit about Shaka? And, it seems like he's kind of overlooked when people talk about who maybe you've lost, but having a guy like that coming back.
He is super valuable. I mean, he's elite. His pass rushing ability is elite. I think that's been a couple years now. But what people don't understand is he's an every down guy, and it's a strength. He knows how to play with leverage, and he might be the smartest guy in our defense just from understanding his position and mastering his craft. He's just in a really good place. You're talking about a fifth-year guy that's played a bunch of balls. So he's not overlooked in our room. He's not overlooked by us. He's a big part of what we want to do this fall.
Anything else for Coach Pry? I know Greg's about to close the breakout room, so last chance. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Coach Pry. Appreciate your time.
Hey, I appreciate y'all, man.